This book is my attempt to explain just that. It begins with a paradox within many Western economies. Technological advance is growing exponentially, but economic productivity growth is actually declining. Think of this as an exponential paradox. We discuss this paradox by introducing the need for society to engage with innovation on three critical dimensions: generation, dissemination, and absorption. Within the firm, there is a parallel situation. Many firms are not investing in and sustaining their own innovation infrastructure, which is critical to achieving superior innovation results for the business. Here, too, the organization must not only generate innovation, it must disseminate it across internal organizational silos to the internal business units and absorb it into its business processes and business models inside those businesses. These three facets of innovation form the conceptual underpinnings throughout the book. 1. Innovation generation, the facet through which organizations discover and develop novel products, services, and processes. 2. Innovation dissemination, the facet in which these discoveries move throughout the larger organization, or society, from the laboratory through to the marketplace, from the front-end innovation group to the back-end business unit. 3. Innovation absorption, the facet which takes the generated, disseminated inputs from the organization or society and puts them to work, embedding the innovation in an organizational unit and business model that can deliver, scale, and sustain the innovation. The plan of the book starts from innovation in general and then moves to open innovation in particular. In Chapter 1, we examine the exponential paradox within the U.S. and provide some evidence of this issue in many other leading Western economies. As we will see, the exponential paradox results from too much attention to generation and too little attention to dissemination and absorption. In Chapter 2, we examine open innovation itself as a novel process. Here, too, it is not enough to generate new innovation possibilities. Equal attention is needed to disseminate these throughout the organization and to absorb them into the business units of the organization. In Chapter 3, we place open innovation into context, examining the role of open science and open innovation in creating new knowledge and carrying that knowledge to the market. The norms of open science that do so much to generate new knowledge do not suffice to carry that knowledge into the market. For that, different norms around open innovation are required. In Chapter 4, we build upon those open innovation norms, examining the practices of innovating organizations who try to connect the front end of their innovation processes to the back-end business units that receive the outputs of the innovation process. In Chapter 5, we focus on the less studied, less practiced branch of open innovation, the inside-out branch. We introduce lean startup practices as a new, valid methodology for applying inside-out thinking to explore new businesses and new business models from unused or underutilized internal ideas and technologies. In Chapter 6, we consider how corporations can engage more effectively with startup companies, from both an outside-in and inside-out perspective. The question here is how best to engage with startup companies, particularly if one seeks to engage with many startups simultaneously. In Chapter 7, we discuss the use of open innovation in smart cities and introduce a novel context for open innovation, a rural village in India. Surprisingly, open innovation has demonstrated an ability to catalyze new economic vitality in a rural setting, with a market-based mechanism for scaling its results to many other villages. In Chapter 8, we return to the advanced economies and discuss some best practices that companies have found in getting business results from open innovation. In turn, though, some of the early exemplar companies that used to be showcases for open innovation are now struggling to sustain these results. And there have been failure cases that indicate some of the limits or boundary conditions needed for open innovation to achieve its intended results. Chapter 9 concludes with the consideration of open innovation in modern China. Under Xi Jinping, China has taken a different road from that of the Western economies on the one hand, or the former Soviet Union on the other hand. This has